Hi, I'm Daphne Deckers and I want to share my story with you. Last year I started to feel ill and the doctor thought I had a bladder infection. She gave me antibiotics. I finished the treatment, but the pain and the tiredness never left. So after a while I went back to the doctor and got some more antibiotics. And I ignored the fact that even after taking antibiotics, my symptoms never really went away. I just thought I must be tired, I need a vacation, maybe it's all in my head. Because after you take antibiotics, you're cured, right? This is what we have come to believe. Antibiotics are strong. They cure all and they make you better. Until they don't. And then one evening in September, just after I had hosted a live television show, I just fell apart. I started shaking violently and I ended up in the hospital on an IV drip for 5 days. Well, after that, I thought, oh, I'm healthy again. But no, the infection came back and again. And on Christmas Day, only 6 months ago, I was back in the hospital. And this was the first time the urologist said to me, your bacteria is multi-drug resistant. She said, for this type of E. coli, we can use 8 different kinds of antibiotics. But in your case, 7 of those do not work anymore. So now I'm taking number 8 and it works so far. But what will happen if this bacteria learns to defend itself against number 8 and will become resistant too? I don't know. Nobody knows. What I do know is that having such a bacteria and a urinary tract infection and infected kidneys is very, very tiring. I have never really experienced the type of impact a bacteria can have on your life up until now. When I have to make an appointment at the hospital to see a neurologist, she says to me she has to see me at the end of her shifts. Why? Because after my visit, she has to clean and disinfect everything. I was quite embarrassed when she told me that. Well, she didn't mean to hurt my feelings, but it made me realize I am a patient with a multi-resistant bacteria, and this is not something to take lightly. It's a serious thing. They even said to me that if I ended up in the hospital now, they would have to put me in quarantine. In quarantine, I'm a mother of 2 children. So of course I'm wondering, am I contagious? This whole situation was starting to make me a little bit nervous. I thought, how did I even get this thing? I know a lot of my friends do not really believe me when I tell them that this multi-resistant bacteria are very real threats. The most common reaction I get is, so if these antibiotics aren't going to work anymore, what is the hospital going to give you then? Well, how about nothing? There is no alternative yet. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a politician. So I do not know what the solution to this problem is. But I do know, as a very surprised patient who ended up with one of these superbugs that I can hardly get rid of, that action is needed. My urologist told me that more and more young children come into the hospital with bacterial infections that turn out to be multi-drug resistant. These kids are like 7 years old and already resistant to 5 or 6 different types of antibiotics. But these children have never had an antibiotic treatment in their life. So how did the bacteria get resistant? This must mean it is everywhere. You breathe it, you swallow it, you eat it, you drink it. But this has to stop. And that will take all of you. Because it's a group effort. It's a whole field of problems that we are facing. My grandfather was a farmer and he used to say that to attack a whole field of problems, we should adapt the behavior of cows. By grazing, dealing with each patch of the problem at a time and clearing up one area before moving on to the next. With a huge amount of antibiotics going around, it is time to start asking ourselves, are we on the right track here? We should not be defeated by bacteria, and we should definitely not be defeated by our own passive attitude. So tonight, I encourage you to join this discussion and help us fight superbugs.